It is your court, my friend.
Oh, cool. Again, it's really great to see everybody. Welcome. We want to thank you for attending. We know that you could be doing other things at this point in time and many other things, but we appreciate your passion. We appreciate your dedication. First off, we have a great opportunity here. We've got our second vice president, soon to be first vice president, on board here. Mark, I want you to be able to start out with some comments, please.
Thank you, just Brian. It is awesome to be here with you, and I use awesome because that's your favorite word in the whole world, and we know that.
That's a
So
fact, Jack.
that's right. That's right. It's great for us to be able to get together and talk about what we're doing with these growth teams. It's so important right now because we have got some big momentum going. We had our recent worldwide reporting day with the steering committee for Mission 1.5. Has anybody heard of Mission 1.5? Does everybody know what that is? I see hands raised. Okay, we should absolutely know what that is right now. But the steering committee met and we talked about what's going on in each of the constitutional areas, and we heard from our own fearless leader, PID Pat Vanette, talking about the great momentum that we're experiencing now in CA1. And it's not just in individual pockets around the country. It is starting to become more of a widespread thing, and that's just exactly what we had hoped would happen. That change in our culture, the way we think about asking people to join, the way we think about new clubs and new club starts and club branches and all this stuff is really starting to have a positive impact. We are so very excited that we have many clubs in the pipeline ready to go through the chartering process and many, many more that are coming through. And it's because of the great work that's going on with the new club development webinars that were done and the growth efforts that are being done by Just Brian and many others that are either on this call or still working hard in the background. So I'm just really pleased and honored to be here tonight. Here for any questions, let you know what's going on. Just want to be a part of the excitement and getting this team motivated and moving forward in a positive way like we've been all year. So thanks again for everybody for being on the call. And it looks like we are still growing with numbers signing in. So Brian, I'm going to hand it back to you and take us through what we got to do now.
Mark, I want to appreciate it. I want to thank you. We know how busy your schedule is, and to be able to come, that shows the interest that you have and the executive officer has, and the area leaders and everybody. This is a big team. This is no individual effort by anybody. This is everybody getting on board, and it takes a huge team in order to get this done. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But I first again want to say thank you to each and everybody who has taken the time to be able to come here and to learn more and to share. And we need to hear from you. How can we make this better? How can we continue to keep this momentum going because we're making a difference? And this is something with the new club development workshops. This is something that the Lions of USA, and I hope you've all heard about that, but that's a group that, we got to be proud about what we're doing here in CA1. We've got to change the culture. We've got to change in what we were doing because what we were doing before was not working because we were losing over half of our members over the last number of decades. So we have to be able to change and do the things that are different and come together. This has got to be a grassroots effort. And like I said, it's a big team. It's Lions USA, it's the GAT team, it's Lions Virtual, it's Lions International. It's so many different pieces that we have to come together. And it's not just the GAT teams from the districts or the multiples. This is the GAT team, which is going to involve a lot of people, any people. The grassroots Lions is what's going to do it because we're changing our culture. We have to change our culture because we can't keep doing the same thing and losing members. And because we're losing members, we're losing our directors, we're losing our representation on the board. And we've got to turn that around. And we have. You take a look at this new club development workshops, excuse me, but what we've done so far, we started very late in this, and thanks to Jody and the entire team and Tracy from Lions International and everybody who helped out with this, because we had a very late start, but we're seeing a cultural change. So far, you take a look, and especially we were concentrating on new clubs because that's where we got to go because we have not been good at it in the past. But you take a look at what we've done with new club development and starting this in September and really not doing these workshops until January and February. We have a 49% growth in the new clubs at the end of February for we were 1 year ago. And even then, that was even bigger than the year before that. So it's a huge difference that we've made. We've had to change our culture and we're doing it. We're at 61 clubs at the end of February. And our goal is to try to get to 200. We've only done it 4 times in the last 40 years. Our goal is 288. But if we can get to 200 with the late start we had and then hit our goals for next year with what we've learned, that's what we need to do. And we have to grow. We absolutely do. We know it's hard work. We know it takes a lot. We have to let our districts and our multiples know what our goals are, and we got to get there. And again, we have to continue to try and make it better. I think the one comment, and Jody and Bob and Mark, and I know you guys have all heard this too. The comment we got is, "Oh my gosh, I got another Zoom meeting tonight." We have so many Zoom meetings. We absolutely do, and we know it. And and I think we have to take a look, and we're going to have more. I'm sorry, I'm here to tell you, it's a way to keep the momentum going. It's a way to be able to keep the ideas going out there. Because if we don't, we just stop the momentum, and we just don't have any motivation to move forward. But I want to tell you something. The people on this call, and the first vice district governors, second vice district governors, the GAT team, that just means that we need to do more delegation. We need to be able to get more people on here. We know there's people that are in our districts that are good at being able to just get outside of their box and start asking people to join. And it takes a special person to do that. It may have to be a sales type of a person, just somebody who has that passion, but we need to delegate more and we need to get more people involved. And that's what the purpose of Lions USA is. Get all the grassroots Lions involved. The more people we get involved, the better it's going to be. So yeah, we got a lot of Zoom meetings. We got to be able to share that with other people, and you got to bring this information and bring it down. So we're learning as we go. Jody, Bob, anybody else got any comments here and being able to get us started out? Jody, this is the best I've ever heard you.
I know, crazy. You think after all these Zoom calls, I know how to mute myself, for goodness sakes. Hey, you know what? I really think that I would like to do right now is hear from our attendees a little bit, because one of the things we're really pushing is the #1 service of Lions is to grow Lionism. And we've heard some pushback on that. And one of the challenges, well, I don't want to get into the challenge. I don't want to pre-answer your question for you. So we've got a little poll and we want to hear what you have to say. What are you hearing? Do you agree that the #1 service of Lions is to spread Lionism? And I'm going to launch the poll and I'm going to remind you, this is anonymous. Be honest. This is an open forum for discussion today. We are not looking for you to candy coat things. We're not looking for us to look through this world in rose-colored glasses. You as the multiple district GAT team are where the rubber meets the road. And you're the ones that are out there day to day supporting your districts, helping them meet their membership and club growth goals. We need you, and we need to know what your needs are so you can best meet the needs of your teams. So it looks like our poll's coming in. Hey, Brian, you're the best I've heard you tonight as well.
I
It's
know it.
awesome.
You think you have to, I agree. We have so many Zoom meetings. You think you would just keep things unmuted. But we also want to hear in the chat your thoughts on this too, no matter which way that you went. And again, it's about honesty, and we have to hear that honesty, and we have to hear the reality. So put in the chat box on what you think on the poll question, good, bad, or ugly. That's where we learn information.
So Babette responded that initially she was a no, that she didn't think that service was our #1 project, but now she's a yes because she's attended some of these sessions. And that's really important because we're trying to change this culture about the fact that we can provide more service when we have more members. They work hand in hand. And we've talked about this over and over again, Brian and Jody and many others on the call about the fact that your first act of service as a Lion should be to invite somebody else to join. That is an act of service. We're very, by our very nature, we are an action verb here. Service is an action word, and so why wouldn't we want to share that and get new members out as our first act of service as a Lion? So we've got to keep that dialogue going. We got to change people's mind about how important it is to bring new people in.
Take in mind too, the comments we got about the Zoom. Oh, we got so many Zoom meetings. We got meeting to death. Keep that in mind too when we're looking at our clubs and our cabinets and everything else that people want to serve. They don't necessarily want to have all these meetings and all these Zoom things. Don't you feel good when you go out there and do a service project and to do things? And people, that's how we get people.
Very, very good. Great points, gentlemen. I'm just going to try and share these results quick because we are talkers and we're very excited to share with you all and hear from you all. So, 68% of you agree that our number one service is to spread lions, and 32% are on the no side of things. So thank you all for sharing that. We're hoping that through our work with you and your GAT teams work with you, the GAT area leaders and vice area leaders, that we change every one of you to 100% agreeing that that's our number one service. Because when we focus on growing lions, we spread service further than we could just by doing projects on our own. So fantastic. All right, stop sharing and let's move on, gentlemen. Let's move on to, I'm going to start sharing my screen or we're not going to get out of here in the hour we promised. So I'm going to quickly cover, if that's all right with everyone, what we're doing in the next hour that we're here. So first of all, the welcome. You've been welcomed fabulously by Brian, just Brian and just Mark. So thank you, gentlemen. We are talking about the growth workshops here in a minute. Just a quick overview of what the results are of the workshop so far. We're going to talk about your jobs, and I know not all of you are global extension team people here, but we're going to focus on the GAT team and the GAT coordinators because that role is going to be required at the multiple district level next year. And that is going to be a key component in pushing and working with you all, the full GAT teams, and also getting it out to the districts with the GATs. We're going to talk about how we're going to grow to meet the need and the importance of that. We're then going to send you into a breakout room and we're going to talk about very, very clearly, why aren't your districts starting clubs? We asked the clubs at the end of session 3 to reach out to their multiple district GET, GMT, or council chair to talk to you about what their needs are and understand that. So we're going to talk about that in these breakout rooms. And then we're going to use the brain trust that's in those rooms to talk about how we start to turn that around. How do we start getting these districts on board with starting clubs? We're going to wrap up with coming soon and some notes on just some final inspiration, I guess, is the way we'll put it. So with that, Mr. Brian, just Brian, would you like to talk about the growth workshop recap or
Absolutely. I would love to. I want to make a comment on some of these comments that are coming in though. I lose that I use it a lot. The number one thing that we need to do is to spread lionism because you can relate that to everything. But based on the comments, and I want to thank people for making comments in the chat because that just means I need to explain things a little bit differently and look at it at so many more different aspects that what is spreading lionism? Is it growing clubs? Is it doing service work? What is it? It's a little bit of everything. So appreciate those comments. So read those comments in the chat. They're awesome. So we've been on these growth workshops. And first of all, I'm very excited for what we've done and where we've been and the people that have come on to this and the comments that we've heard. And again, we're learning. We really cram these through very quickly. And I want to thank Jody. I want to thank Tracy. I want to thank Pat Van Nett, constitutional leader. I want to thank all of our area leaders and the vice area leaders and the governors and the GAT teams and everybody that's on this call because we heard so much input and we want to know how we can make this better. We know the first workshop was very intense. It wasn't much sharing. It was more just getting some knowledge out there. So we're learning as we continue to do this. We're going to get better. But look at the results. Look at what we've had. just with inviting the districts and coming onto this. We've had nearly 1,500 registrations to be a part of this. And that's phenomenal, to be honest with you. And that's why that we have the cultural change and the numbers that have been changing already. Granted, we have not asked as many people to join this year as we did last year, but we have definitely done a 50% increase in the new club development, and that's awesome. And because we did these workshops, we are now also building a library that people are going to go out there. You guys saw a lot of videos in the workshops that we've done. So these sessions have created 20 different videos, inspirational videos, being able to tell our stories. And we're going to start creating a lot more of those. And we're going to have a lot of resources available that you can look at in the Lions USA library that we're going to create. But just knowing how to do this, and you can use it at your cabinet meetings, you can use it in your clubs, you can use it in whatever you want to. And because we've had these workshops, we've developed district growth teams, and I know a lot of you've heard it. Oh, our team doesn't do anything. We haven't done anything in a long time. In talking about it is a call to action. If we have people talking about their growth teams and getting out there to do work, that's what this has been accomplished. So the growth workshops have absolutely been phenomenal in the things that we've done. So it's awesome. Again, want to thanks to each and every one of you for all the things that you've done. Mark or Jody or anybody else have any comments in regards to what's happened so far with these growth workshops?
No, because the cool thing about the workshops is now that this first round, or actually second or third, really, but this last round of workshops is done, it's time to hand the torch off to the multiple district GAT teams to really keep the process going, get their districts on board, get the clubs growing, get the districts growing by adding new clubs. So I think it's fantastic. Mark, did you have anything to add before we go on?
Let me find that magic mute button. No, no. You've said it very well. We need to focus on these efforts and learning from what we've heard. We need to share the experiences that have been shared during these workshops and make sure that we take these best practices and just drive them forward. Again, we're action oriented. We've got to react to these thoughts, these ideas, these ways of changing immediately. We can't sit on this stuff. So we need to take what we've learned and move it forward.
I have a kudos to go out to. So I was sitting in a meeting with a bunch of leaders from CA4 the other day. So that's Europe. And for the first time in a long time, I heard, so CA1 chartered a lot of new clubs. How are they doing that? We want to do that too. And we never hear that. CA1's doing this. We want to do what they're doing because they're noticing we're growing. And so that made me feel really good about the job you all have done. So kudos to all of you.
That's great feedback. Thank you so much. And we are being recognized. I went on the Worldwide Report Day with Pat Vanette and talked to the steering committee about the new club growth workshops. And I said I would put us up against anybody in the world for making this effort, this huge effort to grow, that you're not seeing anyplace else in all of our constitutional areas. So, again, kudos to everybody for doing this, and we just need to keep moving forward.
And it takes a big team, as we said, and everybody's a member of that team. But like Jody said, the purpose of this meeting is targeted at the multiple districts as well. Multiple districts, we need to have you guys do what we've done with these new club development workshops. Now it's time to motivate and bring that down and help and to be a source for our districts. And now start getting that drive to keep pushing down farther and farther to accomplish the things we gotta do.
So let's move on and talk a little bit about the Global Extension Team role. But before we do, I think Lori Horton, GAT Area G leader, Lori Horton. I'm terrible with titles. So let's just call her Lori because she's an awesome Lori, okay? But she said two definitions of that statement, and I love this. Our number one service to Lions is to grow Lions. Our number one service to our communities is to serve. I think that is a really brilliant way to position this because it's two-pronged. It's a different message internally versus externally, which is key to our overall growth, branding, et cetera, is communication. And I won't go into all that. We'll just focus on what we're supposed to be focusing on. But I think that's fantastic. So Lori, thank you for sharing that. All right, let's hop over and let's look at something called what we're calling the Global Extension Team role at the multiple district level. Now, for those of you who have been around the block, you'll note that that is not the official Multiple District Global Extension Team Coordinator job description is not yet on the LCI website. They're working on it. It will be there soon. We, as a team working on this growth workshop and looking with Lions USA, decided to give you some direction based on what we've seen through the workshops and with working with the GAT areas, multiple districts, and clubs. And that's this. The role of the multiple district extension team is primarily to support the global extension team and those growth teams that we've just created. Your role, we know that not every multiple district, by the way, has a global extension team coordinator. So this could be falling right now to the global membership team coordinator as well. But your role is to understand the needs, strengths, and weaknesses of each district when it comes to extension and their growth teams. It's to be a mentor, it's to train them, it's to hold them accountable, and vitally and so important is to celebrate their success and recognize those that are getting the job done and help spread the word to others so we can all be inspired by them. Additionally, whether you're a multiple district GMT, GET, or whomever, your GAT area and vice area leaders are a vital resource for you in getting your job done, looking for mentorship and for learning from one another. So that's how we're defining the role of the global extension team at the multiple district level. Brian, Mark, anyone else have anything they'd like to say about that? Yes, and Linda, great point. And the MD GAT is also to be a resource. That is so true.
Keep
Anyone
in
else have
mind that
comments on
the get position was kind of optional this year. It's mandatory now. We need to have a global extension team person on the multiple level as well as the district level. And again, it takes that special person to be able to do that, but they should be concentrated at that. We're going to talk in a moment. There's so many different things we have to worry about in order to grow our membership. But extension is big, and you don't have to have just that one person. The successful districts that I've seen and the multiples I've seen, because we have so much room to cover, we want to start up so many clubs. You need to be able to get multiple teams and have somebody driving them as part of that get, but have a whole get team when you're there with your multiples and look at it on your district level as well. I think that's very important.
And as we continue to grow, we're going to continue to have more and more people that we can add as a resource for these GET teams, to give them the confidence that they need to grow. I mean, we're basing this all on momentum. Once we get this thing started and the ball is rolling, we're going to be better and better at starting new clubs. And that global extension team role is just going to be critical for us to continue to achieve the success.
I just want to add one other piece to this that I know a lot of you at the multiple district and the district levels are struggling with finding people to step up. My suggestion is that you focus on the highest priority. Pick the number one thing that you need to be doing in your multiple, focus on that and work through that, and then build on that as you move forward. And don't wait a whole year to build on it. Pick goals, go through the GMA process and set your goals for your multiple district, the same as we are at the district levels, for how you're going to support these important teams at the district level. So just as a side note. All right, bigger teams cover more geography and allow the team not to have to work full time. Exactly. There is a great video from Jay Norby out of Minnesota on how their district growth team has been put together. And it's really inspirational for any of you that are looking to grow your teams larger. In order to get us
We're not saying it's easy. It's a lot of work, and we understand it's a lot of work, but the more people you get involved, the less responsibility that is on a particular person.
Such a great point, Brian. Hey, Brian, as long as you're talking, how about you talk a little bit about these 3 pillars of growth and why it's so important that we can't get by with just 2 of them anymore?
You know, and thank you, Jody. When we're talking about growth, there's so many different avenues, and we hear about that as well. When we ask our governors and we ask our GAT teams, what are you going to do in order to grow? And there's so many times that we hear about, well, I'm going to work on retention. I'm going to work about keeping my people here, and that's what I'm going to focus on. You know, if you take that attitude, you have to work on a lot of different ways. You are absolutely right. We have a problem with retention. We lose half of our clubs when we start them up. We lose half of the new members within the first number of years, and we have to find out why people are leaving. So number one is, yes, if we get people in, we have to keep them. I'm a business person. I understand it's 3 times harder to get a brand new person involved in this organization than to keep the one that has already made the commitment. So we have to ask them, you know, why did you leave? We have to find out why people are leaving, and we got to shut that back door. But that's only one aspect. There's so many more aspects we need to do in order to grow. Yeah, if we could keep our members, we wouldn't have a membership problem. If we could keep 1 in 5 that leave, we wouldn't have a membership problem. So yes, let's work on that. But we also have to recruit. We have to recruit new members. We have to be able to share that joy of being aligned. We have to give others the opportunity to join this awesome organization. And that's what we got. So you have to keep them. Yeah, but you have to get them in first. And we have to get them in, and we have to ask more and more people. It is a numbers game. We know we're going to lose a certain percentage of people, but we have to continue to add, and we have to add more if we got to hit to 1.5. So keep the people, retention, ask more and join us, but add. By adding clubs to our communities that don't have a Lions Club, or making specialty clubs to do other things, adding new clubs to communities that are underserved by the current clubs that they have, that's where we can grow in leaps and bounds. If we can get 20 or 30 people to join the organization in groups because they have a special cause, that's what's going to propel us over the top that we've had a struggle getting over that top, getting into the positives. That's by adding new clubs. So keep the ones we got, no doubt in our mind, we have to. That's a priority. Also, a priority is we have to add more people. Also, a priority is we have to add clubs to serve our communities better. There's so many different aspects of adding and growing our membership, but you have to attack it on all fronts. You can't just concentrate on only one. We have to be able to have more out there to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point too, Brian. Well, we've talked in my club visitations, or my district and multiple district visitations as well, about the club structure and the fact that we've got to keep people happy at the local level. And Lions don't join districts and multiple districts; they join a club. So they've got to feel welcome. They've got to feel engaged and encouraged to share their voice and their dreams for how they want to help people right in their own community. And that's so it becomes a local issue, and that's very hard to monitor. But we just need to develop this ability to share this perception that we're here to help people, and we're all like-minded. And if we can join together with other organizations in our communities that are, that need the kind of benefits that we offer to our Lions members with leadership development training and all these other benefits, we're going to continue to grow and do it in new ways. So all really important aspects of why we're here.
Excellent.
Good comment, Mark.
Excellent, guys. Well, I'm going to keep us moving along because I really want to we want to hear from you all. And I'm talking like I'm from the South
Y'all.
again. I must have been y'all, all y'all. I've been talking to Chris Carlone too much, I guess. All y'all, we're going to keep us moving along. And how we're going to do that is we're going to start with, to lead into our breakout rooms, we're going to start with a Kahoot. And I'm going to share with you all. And first of all, thank Daniel Marnie Elkins for letting us use his Kahoot account for this. This link I just dropped in the chat will allow you to get into the Kahoot. For those of you who would like to log in and play online, it's going to be a word cloud we're going to be asking you a question on. And the question is going to be, what's the #1 reason we are not starting Lions clubs? Okay, so there's the question. You can either hop in on the Kahoot and do it live on the Kahoot, or drop it into the chat window for us, because we're going to capture all of this information and use it to help us create new programs. All right, so we got Wilbur and Deb that are showing up. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and start sharing the next one. We got a few people here showing up, and yes, for those of you who've worked with Daniel before on these, Jody is not the expert at Kahoot that Daniel is, but I'm doing my best, Daniel. Here we go. Delaware Lion is probably Daniel. All right. I'm not going to, if more of you would like to join, you can click that link. Otherwise, please do go into the chat and do that. Looks like Paul Fugate. We've got a bunch of others joining us. I'm going to start this Kahoot because we're going to take a minute and a half here. And I want you to really think about this. What is the number one reason that your districts, and this is aimed to you multiple district coordinators, are not starting clubs? All right. And again, it's a word cloud. So you will be able to add in here your reason of the number one reason you believe we aren't starting new clubs. If you have more than one reason, please hit enter and go back in and try and put another one in there. So players, go ahead and type your answer now. And Brian and Mark, if there's answers coming into the chat you'd like to call out as we go along, that'd be great. We've got 2 answers so far coming up on the screen.
Yeah, Cecilia says we're afraid to ask.
Yep.
And
Too
Babette
far
is
to
saying
travel.
because we can't create and get our teams to work together. It's always a problem. We got to work on that.
I like the one too. It's too far to travel. We know an obstacle. We got to find out how do we get over that obstacle. Again, it's by getting more teams out there. We
Excellent.
want somebody else to do it for us.
No magic wands, people.
Shortage of
Nope.
lions on the team. I mean, that's why we're here. That's what we're trying to solve for, to add more lions to the bench.
No leadership at the district level.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. We need to
Yeah.
address that. That's a whole nother topic we got to get involved with.
And it takes a long time to change this culture to be able to correct these things too. But if we know
Yeah.
the problem, it gives us the opportunity to correct them and to try and move in the right direction.
No motivation. Yeah.
You know, people get tired. You know, you've got to
Oh,
keep that energy level high. It's the real challenge that we have to face.
people
Here
get
we
burned
go.
out.
Looks like we're getting some responses here, Pat.
We are getting some responses. The number one reasons that you put on Kahoot. We've got more focused. We're more focused on this, I am guessing. Closed minds. Don't know how. No designated team. Perception that it's hard to tell because it's not showing. Fear, not trying hard enough. You know, all of these things are reasons we're not starting clubs. The team thing I think is really big. What do you guys think? Ooh, fear of overtaking my
And
club. I
like,
just heard this today. We
yeah,
don't want to start a new club because we know they're going to leave. We can't get people into our club. So why would we start a new club?
No GAT teams on the district level. That's an issue we need to solve for because we
yeah.
need that local connection through the district governor's team. We know that the district governors are being asked to build those GAT teams up before they go to DGE school so they can help with the writing of the district goals. So we need to make sure that we've got the coverage there.
And Daniel, you're right. We're divided. We're not unified. We don't have the same direction that we want to be able to go with a lot.
Too worried about stepping on toes and crossing city limits or
Uh,
territories. This is a real issue, Joe. We did a seminar a few years back at the forum on not in my backyard, the NIMBY effect of clubs, and it resonated really well with our Lions because they believed that they couldn't cross the borders, they couldn't go into other towns, and right now you have to look at clubs at a certain size, and they may not have the bandwidth and the people to do more projects. There's something that's really important that needs to be done. So we need to be able to go in there and talk to those Lions and say, we can build a team. We can build a specialty club that'll focus just on that one item that needs to be addressed. And we're not going to step on any toes here. We're just going to do what needs to be done. So it's all about communication, right?
Oh,
yep.
look at all that. And if you guys aren't seeing this, the chat
I love
is
these answers.
fantastic. Lots of great
Yeah.
ideas in the chat. and a lot of great points in the chat. Let's take this to a verbal discussion amongst everyone. How about that? And go into some breakout rooms. And I mentioned this earlier, but we're going to send you into, we're going to randomly assign you. So you're going to get to talk to someone and people from all across the United States about what tools and resources that do you guys need to help meet this year's membership goals and to start strong for next year. Because someone else mentioned this, it's not a one-year plan, guys. This is sustainable growth throughout time that keeps on going. So we're going to give you about 20 minutes in the breakout room. We're going to come back and just do a quick recap, give you a couple of things that are coming up and some motivation, and send you all on your way. That was fun.
Boy, that went fast, didn't it?
Oh my God, those breakout rooms always go fast, don't they?
But lots of great information shared by everybody.
That was awesome.
I hope the other rooms had a great conversation as much as we did.
So we're running.
It was great.
Yeah,
We're
we had a
running
real
low.
good one as well.
We're running low on time. So if you all want, what I think we should do, because I want to be sensitive to the 1 hour time limit. So let's go in and talk about the upcoming events of what we've got coming up, what's coming soon, what's coming next. And then after we get done with that, we'll come back. And those of you who can stay, would like to stay, we'll do some recaps of what we discussed in those breakout rooms. And then if you need to leave, we can go from there. So, hey, Brian, I'm going to start sharing a screen again. And if you would like to talk about coming soon, we got a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipe. What's up, man?
You know, we always got stuff coming soon. If you don't have something coming soon, it just stalls, and you got to keep that momentum going no matter what. So we have a number of things that are coming up. We have a lot of things we've talked about with Lions USA. We got a lot of irons in the fire. We have a lot of irons we have to put in the fire yet that we're still looking at what we need to do. And these breakout rooms gave us some more ideas on what we can do. But some of the most immediate things, and I think everybody knows, we have summits coming up. And if you were to the summit last year, it is an awesome time because it motivates you. It tells you what to do. You get a chance for breakout rooms and to be able to talk to other people from other areas and how we're going to get things done. So that's going to be done at the end of June. We're going to have everybody together in Las Vegas. So make sure that you get your team there, the global membership team, the extension team, the GAT leader, the district governors. That's very important to be able to come there. A couple other things we're going to be working on as well. We're going to, and again, this comes from a challenge from our first vice president, AP Singh, is we're going to meet with their first and second vice district governors within the next month or so. And we're going to talk about their roles. And we just talked about this in our session. What are their roles? What is it that they have to do? What is it they have to accomplish? Do they have to start their clubs up? No, they don't have to, but they can be the motivator. They can be the organizer to be able to do it. So we're going to talk with first and second vice district governors and just give them a path and give them a direction for the rest of this year and the success plan for the year after and the year after. We're going to do that. We're also going to talk about, we lose half of our new clubs within the first 3 years. So we're going to get together with the new clubs that all of you have started up. And we're going to get together with those club officers and see what issues and problems they have so we can head them off at the pass. Get them before they drop. We talked about retention earlier to be able to do that. This is a way to be able to do it. We're talking about a lot of other Lions USA things as well, and being able to come to the forum, what we can have for more education. Again, we talked about it in our group, maybe Lions USA to come up with the checklist of how to start clubs up, a checklist of what are the roles and responsibility of all of the positions that we have. We can move much faster and we can make it more focused to Lions of the United States more than anything else. Jody, Mark, what else did I miss of things that are coming up?
I got 2 or 3 hot topics before I let Mark talk. Number one, we are looking for more inspirational videos because you guys are the ones that are working directly with the districts. You know where those great success stories are on adding members, on adding clubs, different types of clubs. Number 2, we are making plans working through Lions USA to create a series, take some of the content from the workshops, things like the Join Together program, inviting a new generation, etc., and create specific trainings just on those that you can use to invite others and spread the word on how we do those things. And hot off the presses, we are going to be doing more workshops starting next September, maybe earlier if we can make it work out. But look for those coming to get more people trained and understand what it takes to grow Lions by adding members and growing clubs. So there you go. Mark, what do
Thanks,
you got,
Jody.
man?
And we are building up for a big social event that will be held at the USA Canada Forum in Atlantic City in September. So we want everybody to be there. We want everybody to come and celebrate with us. We're just gonna blow the roof off with loud music and a lot of fun and just motivational talk about the great work that our Lions, our GAT teams, our extension teams, everybody is doing across CA1. So we are absolutely looking forward to that event, and you'll be hearing more about that as we get closer to USA Canada Forum time.
Be proud. Be proud to be part of USA. One more thing I thought of too. One thing we're going to be looking at as well is we're going to try and find a way we can get a quicker start in the year. So if you have, on a personal level, if you have somebody who's really good at starting up clubs, we're going to have a meeting with those that have really started up clubs in the past on how do we finish out this year and how do we start strong next year? How do we get 100 clubs in the first quarter? So if you have somebody, please email Mark or Jody or myself or the area leaders that, hey, this is a good person. Let's work with them as well to be able to start up clubs in your area, in your district, or adjoining ones as well.
You guys are awesome. We could talk about this for days and
Oh.
and days and be even more fired up. But it is 8 o'clock. And actually, it might be a little after 8. So those of you who need to leave, we get it. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for your honest feedback. It's so vital to us to move forward that we get your honest feedback. Brian, Mark, you each get less than 10 seconds. Okay, just you guys have anything quick to wrap up before we go back to those that want to hang out? Oh my.
Just love seeing everybody out there. You know, this is just great.
I got one comment. You guys are awesome, and that's a fact, Jack.
That is fabulous. All right, I'm going to bring Bob Block to the screen, who also moderated a breakout room, and I'll pop myself in here as well. So let's just do a quick, brief recap of what we talked about in the breakout room, guys, because I think there was some amazing thoughts and concepts that came out of there. So who would like to start?
Thanks, Bob. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll start. Everybody else can take a break, so I'll start. We talked about creating teams and not having the team ready to go out there and do it. So there, some of them were talking about putting a team together and do it as teamwork instead of trying to do it independently. One of the other big concerns was communications, not communicating. Inviting local Lions when they go into an area to put a group together to look for a club. The local Lions doesn't want to get involved, and so they're trying to overcome that. A lot of them was using AI. They thought that was a helpful tool, something that they're going to start working more with it as they go forward. That, you know, the biggest thing was, again, just trying to get started, trying to break the tradition of the old school and bring in the new ideas and inviting other people to join in the team. A lot of them were not doing a teamwork. They were trying to do it independent. We had one that has all 4 GAT titles. So that's kind of hard there when you're doing it all, trying to do it all yourself. But again, he's not getting any help from anybody else. So his goal is to get out there, get the word out, and hopefully build teams around himself. So that was kind of the majority of the thing was communications and building teams. And I think that's our future that we have to work on with these multiples and single districts. That's about it from our
I think that's great.
Great
I'm
stuff.
gonna move on to session 2, group number 2, the awesome group that we hit a couple of things, and I'll just recap very quickly. Ours was people aren't educated to what their roles are. We forget When we first came into a role, how little we knew. Don't tell my wife how little I know, but we don't know a lot about the roles and the responsibility of what we need to do. Maybe we could help in creating that checklist and having a quick checklist on what we need to do to be able to do that. VDGs need to work with people a little bit earlier in the year. Having succession plan. If you can work 2 to 3 years in the future, when you get person getting done with their role, have them be a succession plan and train the next person coming in. What that checklist is, what their responsibilities are, so you can have multiple people working on the same role. We're good at educating the top tier. We're not good at getting it down into the grassroots and the district and the zones and the clubs that we have to work on to be a little bit better. So we got to reach down lower. We got to teach people how to fish. We don't give them the fish. We need to be able to teach them how to do it and be able to get it done. We have to be able to provide the goals for this year and next year, and it's a continued thing. We don't, it's continuous to work all the time. We need to keep that four-legged stool, and somebody brought that up in the chat. Service is just as important as leadership, is just as important as extension, is just as important as membership, is just as important as LCIF. They're all very important. So we got to keep that four-legged stool, five-legged stool out there for everybody. Having those frequently asked questions, starting up a new club checklist, having AI being able to be used, implementing the goals of what Mission 1.5 are. It takes us a while to build up to that. Get on LinkedIn. Those are our future leadership. They know how to lead in there, so let's break into that market. One last item, there's a misconception. First vice district governors and second vice district governors, we don't know how to fill those roles because people think their role is to start up clubs. That's what their role is. It's not. It's a misconception. We have to work as a team to be able to build these clubs up. They can motivate, they can organize, they can build a team to get it done, but we got to get rid of the misconceptions that are out there. That's what we hit in group number 2.
Boy, you were super busy. What a great amount of knowledge you shared
We
with
were. It was an awesome
It
group.
was amazing, just amazing. Well, yeah, we didn't do so bad ourselves. We talked about a lot of different things. We talked about the difference between the information we share at the rural level and the urban level. You know, that there are different cultures of Lions and what we do, and that the information that we share, the resources that we provide, has to be customizable. It has to work for the specific audience where the Lions are, and that's really important type of communication that we need to share. We talked about marketing and how we get the good work that we do out and shared with a wider audience, you know, and why doesn't LCI provide, national advertising for things? That always comes up. We always talk about our ability to promote our Lions on a national basis, and the challenges we have with getting that out versus having the local Lions, relying on the local Lions to do a lot of that communicating themselves, and using certain kinds of grants to get that out, that information out for people. We talked about, again, just the roles that people are playing, and needing to know how important it was to understand the specific roles and tasks that we ask our Lions leaders to do, and that they need to share it with each other, because the GAT team is truly a team. It's that, you know, it's kind of like the best and the brightest that you have in your districts. Our district governors really need to keep focusing on getting their top talent into these 4 roles. And I saw the notes too on the sidebar about what about service and what about LCIF, and they're all part of the team too. If we kind of overemphasize and stress membership and extension, it's because it's just purely aligned with our Mission 1.5 initiative. But service and all these areas, including LCIF, are critically important to the messaging that we share, and the work that our Lions are doing. Great conversation in our group.
I would just
Jody,
say
did I miss anything,
I
Jody?
have just a couple other things to add. Number one, if we aren't doing service and we aren't visible doing worthwhile service in our communities, our clubs are going to die. Period. End of story. Service plus fun equals membership. And membership drives leadership. Membership drives so many things in our association. So it's really important that we stay focused on service, especially with our external messaging. Number one. Number two, I think that some of the other things were brought up just quickly. Grants. There are grants available. You need to make sure you're applying for the right grant, and the grant that you're applying for meets the need of what you're doing. And we'll talk more about that. Hal, I'll hook you up with Tracy in a minute. So hold one second. The other thing that I thought was really, there was 2 other fascinating things that we haven't talked about. Number one, we know that one of the biggest challenges is that our old clubs, some of them just don't want to change. You all, as the multiple district GAT team members, are the ones that need to help the districts get over the fact that in those areas, they need to go in and start some specialty clubs. We heard from South Carolina, Bill in South Carolina talking about they've got these clubs just like we all do. And guess what? They've gone into these communities and they're starting specialty clubs that meet the needs of a new generation and a different generation of humans that want to make a difference. I think that is a really key point for our multiple district teams to understand that that's part of your job in changing that mindset at the district level. And then there was one last piece, and I thought this was brilliant. Juanita from California brought up the fact that we've given this training and these tools to them, but where are the applications? There's so many different ways to apply it. How do we get it down there? Well, friends, we are relying on all of you to be able to do that. You are the key support for these districts. You've got a huge team behind you supporting you. We're here to give you the tools and resources and step in when you want some help, whatever you need. But it's your job to work individually with these districts, recognize their needs, find the tools and resources, and teach them how to use them. Because again, we want to teach them how to fish, not give them the fish. So you guys, amazing comments, great breakouts. We hope to talk to you more. Bob?
We had one more thing to add is we talked about joint clubs with the 501c3 and how to do that. So I think that's another good aspect to start looking at, because it seems like there's a lot of 501c3s that are looking for help as well. And I think by joining the two together, it'd be a great marriage, and it could work out to be in both clubs' efforts. So there was one in the chat also about GAT training, similar to what we do for club officer training. So maybe that's something else to look at.
What a great opportunity potential for Lions USA to bring something working in coordination with the GAT teams. So the GAT area teams, to get that in place. Great comments, everyone. All right. I think we're wrapping it up unless there's any other questions. Hal and Tracy for sure stay on. And if the four of us on screen can stay on just for a quick recap here in a minute. I just want to connect Hal and Tracy because Hal's got some questions on grants, his grant.
Just so everybody knows, if you just email membershipgrants@lionsclub.org, I will answer that, and you can ask me any questions about specialty club grants, New Voices grants, membership development grants. Just email membership grants and I will answer and give you information.
Perfect, Hal. So email Tracy at membershipgrants@lionsclubs.org, and she should be able to help you work through the challenges with your grants and see how that comes out for you.
But I can stay on for a minute, Hal, if you have questions you want to ask me right now, that's fine.
With that, I think we're done, everyone. You guys
Thank
totally
you
rock.
all.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
great job, everybody.
evening.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Have a
See
good
you
night,
next time.
everyone.